Hey everybody, so today we're going to be looking at multi-step equations again. Now if you remember last time in the webinar we made a little foldable that discussed all the 5 steps to solving a multi-step equation. Okay, remember it looks something like this. Cute, right? Right. So these are going to be used, these steps, again. However, we're going to be looking at different types of problems. Mainly, what if we had a problem where variables were shown on both sides? So again, just to sort of recap everything that we talked about in our foldable, I rewrote all the steps here. So please just refer back to your foldable when you are going along with me on here. But step number 1, remember, was to distribute. Okay, so anytime you see a parenthesis, you want to go ahead and distribute the outside number by everything that's in parentheses. Okay, second step was to get rid of fractions. Now remember, to get rid of fractions, we're going to multiply everything by the common denominator. Now, did you hear that word? Everything by the common denominator. Okay, because we know we don't like fractions. Okay, 3, we're going to combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. That's usually the big mess up right here. It's each side of the equal sign whenever we're combining like terms. Okay, and this is the new piece. This is what we're going to be looking at today. What if we had variables on both sides? What do we do with that? So we go through the 3 steps. We pause for a second to look and see, okay, do we have variables on both sides? We're going to learn in a few moments what do you do to get rid of those. Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. Then step 4, you get rid of the number near the variable. Okay, and the last step, step 5, was to divide by the number with the variable. So again, follow these 5 steps and you'll be able to solve any multi-step equation that we have. All right, so let's look at our first example here. We have 6 plus 6x is equal to 5 times the quantity 6x plus 6. Okay, so first of all, I don't even care what kind of equation this is. You know, I'm not really interested in whether or not you know, is it multi-step, is it a one-step, is it an inequality, etc., etc. Okay, what I'm more interested in is you following that 5-step process, and that's for every equation that we have. So, step number 1 says to distribute. You can see right here that there's some distributing action going on right here. So let's go ahead and take care of that. We're going to drop down the 6 plus 6x, not touching that just yet. And I'm going to distribute the 5. 5 times 6x gives me 30x. And 5 times 6 is plus 30. Okay, so we've done step 1. Now step 2 is, do we have any fractions after we've distributed? And the answer is no. Okay, so no fractions are anywhere in this problem. Step number 3, combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. So if you were to split this up for a second and look at this half versus this half over here, all right, there's nothing to combine. Remember, a 6 plus 6x, despite popular opinion, is not 12x. This one right here has an x, this one does not. You cannot combine them. All right, so now you pause and you ask yourself, do you have variables on both sides? We do. I see that there's a variable over here on the left and there's a variable here over on the right. So now everyone has their personal preference on how they do this. This is my personal preference. I will always take the variable that is on the right and move it over to the left for every single problem. Okay? So if this is a 30x and I want to move it over, what's going to happen to its sign? Right, it's going to change its sign. So this is going to be, we're going to subtract 30x from here and move it over here. Okay, that will cancel out. And then I'm going to drop down everything else that I have left. I have the 6. 6 minus 30x is a negative 24x. Okay, and that's equal to positive 30. Okay, now notice how I do not have variables on both sides anymore. I've taken care of that step. Now you go to step 4, which is get rid of the number that is near the letter. Now remember, negative 24 would be considered to be with it. I don't want to touch that one just yet. I want to get rid of the number that's near it. So in that case, it would be a positive 6. So to undo a positive 6, what are you going to do? That's right, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Remember, what you do to one side, you always want to do to the other. The whole idea here is to keep things balanced. Okay, drop down what I have left, which is a negative 24x is equal to positive 24. Okay, And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 24. Because remember, step 5 was to divide by the number with the x. So cross those off. And last but not least, x equals 24 divided by negative 24, which is a negative 1. Okay? So to sort of recap everything that I've done here, remember, you're still following the 5-step plan. You're going to go ahead and distribute first. All right, after you've done that, look for fractions, which we didn't have any. Simplify both sides by combining like terms. Okay? And then after that is when you pause to look and see, do you have variables on both sides? Because the truth of the matter is, if you did not have variables on both sides, you can automatically just skip the step and go right to step number 4. Okay? So my preference is to always go from right to left, okay, which I subtracted 30 from both sides. And then you're back to just your normal equation that we've been solving. So I subtracted 6 from both sides, and then finally divided by negative 24, which resulted in a negative 1 as the answer. Okay? So let's look at another problem. Okay. So we have here negative 37 plus x is equal to 8 times 1 plus 2x. All right, so again, step number 1, what are you going to do? Distribute. Good. So we have negative 37 plus x is equal to 8 times 1, which is 8. And 8 times 2x is plus 16x. All right. Now, step number 2, look for fractions. Do you see any fractions here? I don't. Okay, so that means I'm able to go right to step 3. So step number 3 is to combine like terms on both sides of the equal sign. Okay, so I have here negative 37 plus x. Can I combine those? No, the answer is no, because this 37 does not have an x. All right, so that stays the same. And on the right-hand side, 8 plus 16x is going to stay the same. All right, so now, you notice now you've got variables on both sides. So take the variable on the right, which is the positive 16x, I'm going to subtract it. So minus 16x and minus 16x. By the way, why am I lining this negative 16x up with this x?